Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. We are going to continue our space adventure, but first, let me show you what I spent hours and hours on before recording this episode. Alright, so we did a lot of things off camera and spent hours and hours and hours to edit the spaceship, the large grid ship, and the mining rig or the drilling rig. So, first thing to show off is going to be the ship itself. So, in previous episodes, we had upgraded the ship to have a second tier or level, and including the little welding ship here. And everything just looked basic, but now I added a few more designs and fixed my side thrusting issues with 5 hydrogen thrusters and 5 iron thrusters going left and right, in addition to what we already had already. Plus, we added the large hydrogen thrusters going upwards on both sides. And everything has been designed out. So as you see here in the rear, there is the original design, and this is now the bottom back design. And I secured it with some tires for landing gear purposes, and so I don't destroy my ship at the bottom at least. So other than that, there has been a lot of different upgrades I made on the ship. So we have the side thrusters as mentioned before. We also have more bottom thrusters on both sides. Besides that, everything outside, the inside is where we made some adjustments too. Since we have the space, I had decided to finally make the big hydrogen tank, and I colored it with the frost to make it look pretty decent. Most of the other hydrogen tanks that we had are still intact, as you see here. Colored it all in the blue frost, and we added the oxygen tank and another gyroscope down here as well. Everything is still vented or pressurized so that we have our oxygen, and I added probably 3 of these guys here. And I gotta say, this tank makes a big difference because this hydrogen tank has large storage. With the large hydrogen tank, you get 5 billion liters of hydrogen versus the small hydrogen tanks, which only carries 350,000 liters. So this was a big investment that was well worth it, and to be honest, I should probably add a little more of these if I can. But aside from that, I did move a few things, and through a suggestion, I also did turn most of my blocks into these catwalk blocks, the graded catwalk walls or blocks, so that it gives it more space from the bottom to build up if I have to. So I moved the med bay, I moved the air vents, and I have a lot more space by the control seat. So there's a lot of things that I've done to this to make it more spacious and add a little more design to it. This was a lot of fun to make. Unfortunately, I did all this off camera, so didn't have any recordings, not even a time lapse or anything like that. But this is the end product and the thought process of making my ship look pretty cool and designed. Probably one thing I forgot to mention is I changed that control seat outside into a generic cockpit. So it's doing a lot better in terms of its thrusting power. So I added the 2 large hydrogen thrusters for upwards. So now I'm able to go really fast upwards. And for side thrusting, I added a whole bunch more just to move sideways. It's not still the best, but it is a lot better than what it used to be. So this is, again, the end product of my design of the ship. I still haven't really named it, so probably think of a name a little bit later. But again, feel free to comment below and suggest a few names for the ship. All right, so that's the ship itself. Probably one of my coolest ships, or one of the best ships I built so far. But the mining rig itself has been adjusted a bit as well. Has an ore detector outside, has lots of wheels on the sides. I did go for the 3x3 wheels. Probably should have changed with the 5x5s, but that is something I'm going to work on a little bit later if I want to upgrade it to 5x5s. But I did create somewhat of a pretty cool drone or robot looking like thing. So he has like a little bit of a face in front there, so that looks pretty cool. The only problem is it has no arms. So I might eventually make some arms to attach some maybe decoys or some turrets or something like that, just to make it look cool. At the same time, be able to mine for things as well. So a quick look at what I did is pretty much at the design, and on the top I created the control seat with the cargo and some spotlights, and got rid of the turrets that were on top and exchanged it for the sides. So right now it's not too many turrets, only 3 turrets compared to what I had 4 before, but it is like that for now. But if I attach my current ship over there to this point here, I'm able to just walk right in. So once I walk right in, it's not pressurized or anything like that because there's so many leaks, and I didn't feel like plugging any of those leaks and trying to resolve it. But that's the control seat. This is the cargo, and there's a lower portion to it too. So you can climb the ladder if we have to, but if not, then we can just put our jetpacks on and get to the bottom. So I did change a lot of this up. So in here, I kept the thrusters and everything like that. I put the beacon here just in case. And I swapped out the batteries that were on each side. So I put 3 on the front side and 3 on the back side instead. And then I added the cargo containers down here as well. So you have 2 extra large cargo containers, 1 in the middle and 1 on the top. So that way we can store a whole bunch of ice if we need it. And right now I think we have more than enough ice than we can use. So this was a fun project and cool design that I thought of as I was just building it, to be honest. The backside can use some work, but attaching the big boy over there into this drilling rig can be a bit of a mess, but it holds. But of course, I know that we have been spending a lot of time on Europa, so it's pretty much time to get back into space and continue our journey from there. So number one thing before I go into space, I really want to actually plop on a jump drive. And the jump drive, if we see here, is this. And the jump drive, it allows us to teleport or jump from the space to get to a location a lot quicker than actually just flying and floating there. However, as you see here in components, it takes a whole bunch of superconductors and a whole bunch of gravity components, which we may or may not have. So today we are pretty much going to decide on putting the jump drive into this ship. Alrighty, we are finally done with the jump drive, and it looks like it is recharging. I know that it's because it's yellow. It's showing the yellow lights. If it's green, then we're good to go to make the jump. So right now it is charging up, and it takes about 7 minutes to charge up, mainly because we have uranium. If we didn't have uranium, it might be a little harder to actually get the charge up on this thing here. So battery wise, we have 6 batteries, which isn't terrible. So most of these batteries, actually we have 4 batteries. 2 of them are actually on the small ship. So it is going to deplete within 49 minutes, and it is charging up onto the jump drive itself. So right now it's recharges on, and we're trying to look at the distance of the ship itself. Just 5 kilometers, so it's not much of a jump right now, but we'll see how that looks like later. And we have some GPS points too. So what we're gonna do is bring this up into space and see how that's gonna work. But let's quickly load up on some ice and hydrogen as much as we can, because we also do have a hydrogen engine, so we can always charge up our batteries through that and our jump drives. Alright, so we're attached to the mining rig, drilling rig, and you can see the size of it. It's pretty comparable between the ship and the rig itself. So what we probably want to do now is make sure our hydrogen tanks are all on stockpile to get our maximum tanks filled. And it looks pretty good, so we don't have to deal with that. But the other thing we want to do is to make sure we have ice in our large cargo containers. Alright, so let's head on to space and kind of see what we can do from there. Alright, so we made it to space, so it doesn't take that long to get to space from Europa. I'm out of the gravity weld and everything like that, so now we can potentially check on our jump drive here. Alright, so checking out our jump drive, right? So the jump drive itself has a max jump distance of 952 kilometers, which is better than the 5 kilometers that I saw before. And we have it all stored up, so we're charged up and ready to go. So how does the jump drive work? Generally, you can go to your control panel, go to your jump drive, and basically make sure it's fully recharged. And to indicate it's fully recharged, it shows green. If it's recharging, it's going to be yellow, right? So having all that done and looking at your jump drive, it'll tell you the certain distance if you use 100% of the jump drive. You can reduce that if necessary, based on where you're jumping to, or if you have GPS locations or whatnot, you can select them to jump to those GPS coordinates. I don't have much GPS coordinates in terms of where I want to go, so all this is probably not worth it for me to use unless I overjump my destination. So I think what I want to do is why is there a small little tube over there floating in front of me? That was kind of weird. Anyways, so I think what I want to do is actually head towards Earth and land on Earth, because we need cobalt. And making metal grids and everything like that has been a really, really tough grind, because the only way we can get it is from destroying or taking apart different ships and everything like that. So as you see here, I only have 213, so I might as well grind up and gather as much cobalt as I can from Earth, and then return back here, maybe get some platinum, and then eventually go to the alien planet to get some uranium. But for now, because the mission is to get some space stations running, we do need hydrogen thrusters to get our space stations up in the space to begin with, or we can build it in space. But I have a perfectly fine station on Europa, which I'm gonna continue to use and bring it up as a space station. But to do that, I need the hydrogen tanks and the hydrogen thrusters, so definitely need metal grids. So mission with the jump drive, head to Earth, land on Earth, and gather as much cobalt as I can as possible. So what I'm gonna do with the jump drive is pretty much go blind. Probably not the best idea, but I'm gonna do a blind jump. So how am I going to do a blind jump? Basically try to angle myself to hit Earth, right? And now I'm going to take a look at my jump drives just to make sure. And we could go 1,002 kilometers now, which is great. And we can hit select for a blind jump if we wanted to do that. So I think you can set that up on the toolbar, to be honest. So on the toolbar, what did we decide to do here? Just hit jump. Yep. We could just jump. We could decrease the jump and everything like that too if we wanted to. But I think we are okay to do a blind jump, and hopefully we don't overshoot it. I think it's completely a chance that I can overshoot it because I don't think it was that far away. But let's see how it goes. So ready, I'm gonna hit the jump button, and it's gonna confirm distance to the proximity of the coordinates. Achieve percentage is 100% to 1,000 kilometers. Weight transported, blah blah blah, and jump drive, seated crew on board. All right, cool. So I forgot to mention that the jump drive, depending on how much weight you have on the ship, the less you can jump. But apparently my ship isn't as heavy as I thought it would be because it's still going to get me 1,000 kilometers away. So we are going to finally hit yes and confirm that jump. And we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so we jumped roughly, I think that's about 100 kilometers away, right? I mean, one way to check is to see where my unknown signal is. And yeah, that unknown signal was close to the moon. And I was like 2 kilometers away from it. Now it's 1,000 kilometers away. So I am probably only halfway to Earth, which is still long ways to go. So gonna hope that the jump drive charges up as quickly as possible, and it looks like it's got about 6 minutes. So since it got 6 minutes, what I'm gonna do is start going forward and start floating closer and closer to Earth. Alright, so it just hit green and we're ready to go. So let's line this big boy up and get our jump ready. So we're gonna hit jump. Alright, so it says jump drives cannot be used to jump into natural gravity fields. That means my jump is a little bit too close to Earth as what I'm looking at. So what I'm going to have to do is actually lower it a bit. So I'm going to lower it to, let's just say 90% and hit the jump. And that's not going to let me do that as well. So I'm not sure how close I am to it, but we're going to have to play around with this slowly and see if that works. So let's see, 80%. That's not going to work either. 70%. We are ready for a jump in 3, 2, 1. Go. Alright, so now we are super close to Earth and pretty close to an asteroid field, or asteroid. That's pretty bad. It's been a while since we've been back here, because I know we were in the moon starting up the space adventure, and now we are getting really close to Earth. And Earth is not looking too green for some reason, but I think I am going to land on that deserty area because it's so much easier to find ore in the desert area. So I'm going to try my best to aim for that. I don't know why it just got so dark all of a sudden and I couldn't see anything. So I'm going to try to land right there. We want to get close to this thing here, this little mountain. And there's an ice field there, so we need to get some ice. We can dig up some ice. But mostly I'm here for the ore. And the desert area is the best spot to find ore. Grassy areas, very hard to find ore. So we're going to keep flying our way towards this area. And hopefully get there soon. Because we have 36 kilometers away, so that's not terrible. But on the flip side, it looks like Earth and the Mars moon Europa is about 1,763 kilometers away from Earth. So 2 jumps will definitely make it back and forth. So that's good news. Alright, so we are about 5 kilometers away now, and I'm not slowing down whatsoever. So let's try to level out. And make sure we slow down a bit. And we are slowing down pretty well. That's not terrible. And luckily I started slowing down now because it seems like it's gonna drop pretty hard very soon. We're about 3 kilometers away and we're dropping pretty fast. So I want to make sure we slow down faster. We're about 50 ms right now and we're at 2 kilometers away from the ground. So is the gravity well a little too strong here for us to slow down? Potentially, yes. And it doesn't seem like we're slowing down anytime soon. So let's get this more horizontal and flattened out. Okay, we're okay. Okay, that was a little scary, but we're okay. Alright, so whew. Alright, so we slow down a bit to the point where we're not dropping as hard, but we still need to go forwards a bit more. And I think we're leveling out on the vertical drop. Yeah, we are. Alright, perfect. Oh, that was so scary. I don't getting frightened there where I thought we were gonna stop anytime soon. But I think we're so heavy on the Earth's atmosphere at 1.00 Gs that my hydrogen thrusters are not actually pulling enough. I don't have enough hydrogen thrusters to actually be on Earth. But luckily, very luckily, that it is doing just okay. But since we're about a kilometer away, I think we can slow down a bit and start dropping. Okay, so we definitely don't have enough hydrogen thrusters to keep us from slowing down fast enough, so I have to angle it this way. And I am hoping we do not make a crash landing here. Ugh. Woohoo! Ah. Okay, let's assess our damage really quickly. So I dropped at like 20 ms. So, it looks like we dropped some steel plates. Not sure from what, or scrap metal. Because we have those tires, that kind of saved us from really damaging the ship. And it looks like we are pretty good and intact, but definitely do not have enough hydrogen thrusters going upwards for Earth. So everything back here is a little bit dented. I hope nothing inside is destroyed. And we're looking pretty good. Our hydrogen's pretty bad. We have only 1 bar left, which is not good. So, yeah. So, we don't even have enough thrust to push ourselves upwards. Look at this. That is insane amount of thrust that we need. And if I angle it the right way, I might be able to fly. Yeah, if I angle it to use the backwards thrusters, then I can fly a little bit. But the moment I put it more parallel to Earth, that's when I start to drop, is it? Not really. So it's a bit difficult. No, yeah, I am dropping. So I definitely a lot more thrusters on Earth. Alright, so we finally made it down to Earth. And it wasn't the easiest experience based on how much hydrogen thrusters I have. Luckily, nothing blew up. Luckily, we didn't lose a big portion of the ship or anything at all, really. But we're here. Now we gotta get to that Cobalt and continue our journey. Of course, if you guys enjoy this series, this video, please put that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification and also leave us some comments. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.